Hello guys, welcome to my channel Lucid Fanfic, and if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest videos. So be sure to stick around until the end. And let's get started. The world is a tapestry woven with countless creatures and diverse peoples, where the bounds of imagination stretch into vibrant realities. One such realm is the enchanting continent known as Middle-earth. This land is richly populated with a variety of beings: sturdy dwarves, spirited hobbits, graceful elves, and resourceful humans, alongside a host of other fantastical creatures. A cataclysmic war once ravaged this realm, a battle that would ultimately determine the fate of all its inhabitants. Yet, against formidable odds, the peoples of Middle-earth emerged victorious. Throughout the centuries, their technological prowess blossomed, coexisting alongside ancient traditions, as kings and queens ruled justly over their realms. Educational institutions flourished, dedicated to training the next generation of heroes in skills ranging from combat and magic to inventive craftsmanship. For a time, peace reigned as elves, dwarves, and humans cohabited harmoniously. However, as the ages progressed, a remarkable evolution occurred among humans: the emergence of extraordinary abilities known as quirks. These newfound powers brought about a seismic shift in Middle-earth, as some individuals wielded their abilities for malevolence, while others chose to become beacons of hope and assistance, earning the revered title of heroes. In this ever-changing landscape, adventurers and explorers set forth to uncover the mysteries of the unknown, driven by curiosity and the thrill of discovery. Thus, the story of Middle-earth continued a vibrant blend of courage, magic, and endless possibility. At the pinnacle of heroism, there stood a legend known as All Might, a figure unlike any other the world had ever witnessed. His remarkable feats and unwavering courage inspired hope in countless hearts. Eventually, this iconic hero chose a different path, embracing a quieter life as he settled down to start a family. With his partner, he welcomed twins into the world, a girl named Izumi and a boy named Izuku. From an early age, it was clear that the two children were distinct from one another, even at just 4 years old. As children approach their 4th birthday, a magical transformation unfolds within them, allowing them to perceive the world in ways they had never imagined. It is a pivotal age, one where their unique quirks and personalities begin to manifest, setting the stage for their journeys in a world filled with heroes and dreams. If they have a quirk or not. Unfortunately, some did not have any quirk and were labeled quirkless and were harassed by many saying this like, "You don't belong here. You shouldn't even exist, just go off yourself." That is where Izuku learned that he was not as blessed as his sister and his world would change forever. Izuku Midoriya grew up in a town that seemed to cast a shadow over his very existence. The laughter and joy of his peers rang hollow in his ears, for he was continually belittled, a target for ridicule at every turn. His parents, wrapped up in their own lives, devoted their time and affection to his younger sister, Izumi, leaving him to navigate the world alone and unnoticed. At the tender age of 4, Izuku faced the grim reality of survival. He found himself wandering the outskirts of town, stealthily hunting for scraps of food, desperate to stave off the gnawing hunger that threatened to consume him. Each day was a struggle, and he took on small, menial jobs wherever he could, sweeping floors in stores, running errands for the locals, and even delivering groceries to earn just enough money for the essentials. Yet, life dealt him yet another cruel twist. His sister, along with a few of his peers, turned their backs on him, subjecting him to relentless bullying and physical beatings simply for daring to aspire to become a hero like his idol, All Might. Unbeknownst to him, All Might was more than just a hero in his eyes. He was intertwined with his own family's secrets. Despite the cruelty that surrounded him, 5 individuals stood by his side, treating him like a true friend and offering a glimmer of hope in his otherwise dark world. Their unwavering support illuminated the shadows of his life. As he grew older, reaching the age of 18, Izuku found himself on the precipice of understanding. The years of hardship had molded him into someone who was no longer just a victim, but a resilient young man ready to face whatever lay ahead, determined to carve out his destiny. After a long day of hunting, Izuku returned to his modest home, the evening air still thick with the scent of pine and earth. As he approached, he could hear the lively chatter of his parents mingling with the laughter of his sister, Izumi, and her friends. Intrigued, he paused for a moment at the door, straining to catch snippets of their conversation. It was then that he discovered the incredible revelation. His idol, the hero he had long admired from afar, was none other than his father. The knowledge filled him with a sense of pride and wonder, changing the way he viewed both his family and his dreams. About his quirk, and when Izumi asked why to give it to Izuku, "I don't think he would cut out to be a hero," said Yagi. This broke Izuku, as everything he had put up with was for nothing. Izuku stood in the dimly lit hallway, his heart racing as he waited for the last echoes of footsteps to fade away. Once he was sure everyone had left, he stepped through the door of his family home, a place that felt increasingly foreign to him. The aroma of dinner wafted through the air, mixing with the tension that seemed to hang like a heavy cloud over the room. Seated around the table were his so-called family. His mother, Inko, whose vibrant green hair and worried eyes were a stark reminder of what he had once felt, a sense of belonging that now felt all but lost. As her gaze fixed on him, a mix of concern and frustration crossed her face. "Izuku, where have you been, young man?" she asked, her voice laced with maternal anxiety. Silence fell between them as Izuku remained unresponsive, his chest tightening with unspoken words. It was then that Yagi, his father, broke the silence, his tone authoritative yet filled with a hint of unease. "Izuku, your mother asked you a question. You should answer her." "Oh, so now you choose to talk to me," Izuku replied, his voice dripping with sarcasm, catching both his parents off guard. The sarcasm served as a wall he had built, a barrier against their probing questions. "Izuku, that is no way to talk to Mom and Dad," Izumi chimed in, her green hair contrasting sharply with the disappointment etched on her face. Her voice held a note of pleading, as if trying to bridge the growing divide. "Why would I care?" Izuku shot back, his words as sharp and biting, echoing his inner turmoil. Inko stepped forward, her expression softening as she reached out, desperate to connect. "Izuku, what is wrong?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly with concern. But as she touched his arm, he recoiled, smacking her hand away in defiance, leaving them all stunned. "Don't you dare act as if you care about me," he yelled, his voice rising with a mixture of anger and pain. "You never cared about me, so why start now?" The words spilled out in a torrent, a culmination of hurt and betrayal. "Izuku, apologize to your mother this instant," Yagi ordered, his voice booming with authority as he tried to regain control of the situation. The tension in the room was palpable, a heavy silence enveloping them as Izuku wrestled with the chaos of his emotions. "Shut up, you hypocrite. I won't apologize to anyone. It's you who should be apologizing to me. Ever since that day, we returned to the doctor. It's always been Izumi this. Izumi that I was always left behind. You never thought about me in the slightest. I had to take care of myself all this time. Every day was hell for me. I'm always getting beaten and insulted by her," said Izuku, as he pointed at Izumi. Tears streamed down Izuku's face, glistening as they fell to the cold, hard ground. "I know everything about One for All. I looked up to you, and this is what I get." "Well, screw you," he shouted, his voice thick with hurt and betrayal. His heart raced as he stormed toward the door, determined to escape the suffocating atmosphere. They tried to grasp him, to pull him back, but it was futile. In a swift motion, he produced a smoke bomb from his pocket, tossing it to the floor. A thick plume of gray smoke erupted, engulfing the room in chaos. Seizing the moment, he dashed out of the house and into the deep, shadowy embrace of the surrounding woods. As he ventured deeper into the forest, Izuku's path led him to a secluded cave he often retreated to when the weight of the world became too much to bear. Pain resonated within him as he stepped further into the darkness, the damp air thick with the smell of earth and stone. Alone in the echoing chamber, he let the dam of his emotions break. The cries spilled forth from him, raw and unrestrained. In a surge of fury, he grabbed a nearby rock and hurled it against the cave wall. It shattered into jagged pieces, the sound reverberating like a distress signal through the stillness. As the tide of tears began to recede, a simmering anger took its place. It was aimed at the townspeople and the parents who had made his life a minefield of anguish. At that moment, he felt utterly isolated, consumed by a desire for understanding and acceptance. Then, his eyes caught a glimpse of something glimmering beneath the layer of dirt and gravel. Curiosity piqued. He knelt and began to dig with urgency. Slowly, the object emerged from its burial, revealing itself to be a golden ring adorned with intricate, mysterious carvings that sparkled in the dim light of the cave. Izuku felt power coming from the ring, and he placed the ring on his finger and looked at it. Then all of a sudden Izuku felt overwhelmed power filling his body and heard a voice. "So you're my new puppet. I hope you're better than the last one," said the voice, as if something was trying to take over Izuku's mind and body. But that is when Izuku remembered all the suffering and pain he has gone through, and he fighting the voice. "No, how can this be? I am Sauron. No mortal can beat me," said Sauron. "I will not become anyone's puppet. I will choose my fate, and your power is now mine," said Izuku as he won dominance and destroyed Sauron, taking his power. Izuku was breathing heavily as it took a lot out of him, but soon he felt tremendous pain throughout his body as he started to transform. "H!" yelled Izuku as it echoed through the cave. Izuku then fainted due to the pain and woke up a while after he got up and drank some water he carried with him. Izuku then felt strange as he looked at his body and saw he had muscles and his wound were healed. Izuku then got out a mirror and saw he looked completely different. Izuku then felt power radiating within him as he concentrated flames started to appear in his hand. Izuku was surprised by this and remembered that the voice called itself Sauron. Izuku then had a smirk on his face. "I will return the kindness you all have shown me. So be prepared, I am coming for all of you," said Izuku as his eye glowed in the darkness. "Those guys are probably looking for me. I have to wait till night," said Izuku as he waited until it was nighttime. While Izuku was waiting, he was trying to figure out what he could do with his powers as he absorbed not only Sauron's powers, but his memories as well. Izuku then heard footsteps approaching and got ready to fight if need be, but then calmed down as he knew exactly who it was as 5 girls were now in view. The 5 girls were the only ones who treated him like a normal person and helped him out from time to time. Their names were Ochako, Toga, Mei, and Melissa, but they then got ware of him as they got out their weapons as Izuku put his arm up. Wait for guys, it's me, Izuku, said Izuku. "Yeah, right, there's no way you, Izuku," said Toga. "I am Izuku. I'll prove it," said Izuku. "How exactly?" Karo asked you. "Simple, I tell a secret only I would know. When we were still kids, I tricked Ochako into eating a slime because I told her it was made out of mochi," and Izuku tried to say more, but they covered his mouth. Okay, we believe you, just stop," said the girls as they didn't want Izuku to reveal their embarrassing secrets. Soon they all settled down. "So why do you look like that?" asked Toga. "I believe it was because of this ring," said Izuku as he showed them the ring. "Wait, this ring looks familiar," said Melissa. "Oh, that is because it's Sauron's ring," said Izuku as they were all shocked. "Wait, Sauron, as in the one who almost destroyed Middle-earth?" Sauron, said Toga as Izuku nodded. "Izuku, take that ring off right now," said Ochako. "Okay, I'm fine. He tried to take over my body, but I won, and I now have his powers," said Izuku as they were surprised by the news. "So what are you guys doing here?" asked Izuku. "All right, well, your so-called family is looking for you, and that means that they finally noticed you, so we came here to see if you're doing okay," said Mei. "I'm doing better than okay. I feel amazing," said Izuku. "So what are you going to do now?" asked Toga. "Simple. I want revenge on the people who looked down on me and made my life a nightmare," said Izuku's sound fun mind. "If we join?" asked Toga as this surprised Izuku. "Are you sure this is what you guys want?" asked Izuku. Oh, we are sure they need to pay for what they did. Also, you are the only one that treated us right. As for those guys out there, only look at us for our bodies. Plus, there's strength in numbers, said Ochako. All right, there's one more thing we are here for, said Ochako. Oh, what is it? Asked Izuku as Ochako grabbed his head and kissed him on the lips. Izuku's eyes widened in surprise. Hey, no fair, said the others as they each took turns kissing Izuku. Izuku was speechless, to say the least, but soon composed himself. So, I guess this makes us a thing, who said Izuku as he didn't know what to say. Yep, we all agree to share you, said Mei. All right, I will try to be the best boyfriend I can be, said Izuku, as they were all happy. So what are you guys going to do to help me? Asked Izuku. Oh, that is easy. We're going to join the other side and tell you all about their plans and other things that would be of use to you, said Toga, as Izuku nodded. I see. That is a good idea. Also, I need to gather strength and an army in the meantime. And when I attack, I will let you guys know in advance, so you can take your families away, said Izuku as they nodded. Oh, if you need an army, why not here, said Melissa, as she brought out a map and pointed to a place around some mountains. My dad said there are some orcs that still follow their old ways, meaning they follow the strong. So if you head here and beat the head, or the rest will follow, said Melissa. All right, but don't the head orc has multiple women that are his alone, and once I beat him, they become mine. Is that going to be a problem for you guys, said Izuku. The girls just looked at each other. Well, that's true, but I see no reason for you to have multiple women, considering that you might be too much to handle on our Karo, said to. They all blushed, and Izuku coughed. Well, anyways, that is my plan. Once I have the strength, I will leave for the mountains, said Izuku. First, I got to see how much power I can wield right now, said Izuku as he got up and walked to the other side of the cave and breath in and out as he threw a punch at the wall until cracks then started to expand from where Izuku punched and the wall was destroyed. Well, this is going to be fun, said Izuku as he turned around to see the others were shocked by his strength. All right, I think we should come up with a plan to trick the others, so I can do what I need in peace, said Izuku as they were coming up with ideas. The Yagis sent out a search party to look for Izuku. After he ran away, many people helped to find him, and the Yagis found out what they did to him and threatened to find Izuku. The girls also went to make sure they did not find the cave that Izuku was hiding in and to make sure their plan went without fail. For 2 days they searched and found nothing. Then, the third day of searching, hey, I found something, said one of the adventurers as everyone checked, and it was a blood trail that could have been from an animal, said one of the adventurers. No, it is all dried up. I saw about 3 days old, and look, some green hair. Tell the Yagi, said a tracker, as one of the adventurers went to the village. Soon the Yagis and adventurers followed the trail as it led deeper into the woods and heard the sound of a beast. That is when they saw a huge amount of dried vital fluid bone, and to the Yagi's horror, Izuku clothes he wore the day he ran away near a cave entrance. And O yelled Asmite and Inko. Then they heard a roar and saw a giant bear running at them, and it was the owner of the cave. Asmite lunged at the bear in anger and punched it in the face, sending the bear crashing into a tree, but he was not done as he grabbed the bear by the neck and started to choke it. The bear tried to escape from the grip, but it was no use to try to claw at him, only for Inko to use her quirk and force the bear's arms to stay still, as it couldn't do anything as it was slowly dying. The bear then stopped moving as its body went limp, but Yagi then twisted its neck, making sure it was dead. Inko then grabbed Izuku's clothes and cried her heart out, as did Yagi and Izumi. The others now felt guilt for what they did to Izuku, and soon they made arrangements for Izuku's funeral. Meanwhile, Izuku was doing the last of his sit-ups for the day as he heard footsteps and saw it was the girl, and they blushed at the sight of Izuku's body. So how did it go? Asked Izuku as he did his last sit-up and got up on his feet. They said nothing as they just watched Izuku. Hey, focus, said Izuku as he clapped his hands, snapping them out. Oh, right, sorry, said Ochako as they composed themselves and Izuku out on a black shirt. So did the plan work? Asked Izuku. Yeah, it worked, hook, line, and sinker. They're preparing your funeral as we speak, said Toga. It's thanks to all of you that the plan worked so well, said Izuku as they were happy that Izuku praised them. I can't believe you've gotten stronger in just 3 days. Is that Sauron's power, Karo? Asked he. In a way, now that I am eating properly and exercising to the limit, my power is growing stronger, said Izuku. So what are you going to do now? Asked Ochako. Simple. I'm going to test out just how powerful I am, and I know the perfect place and opponent. Said Izuku. Oh, how is it? Ask me, you have to wait until night, then I will show you, said Izuku, as they agreed to wait until night. Oh, by the way, check this out, said Izuku as he closed his eyes and concentrated as the ring glowed and Sauron's mace manifested in his right hand. Pretty cool, huh? Said Izuku as he lightly swung to the side, and it generated a huge amount of wind that blew the girl back a bit. Oh, sorry, guys, said Izuku as he put the mace down on the ground. It okay, but still to think this weapon generated that much wind just by a light swing image what it could do if you get serious, said Melissa. Can I wield it? Asked Toga. Hey, and no far I want to wield it too, said May as the others had a giant sweat drop on their head. How about later, all right, said Izuku as he did not want either of them destroying the cave and surrounding area. So anybody hungry? Asked Izuku as he led them to a roasted deer he caught earlier. As they were eating, they talked about their plans. So, Ochako, who, and May are going into the hero course, and Toga, you will go to the Adventure Guild, and Melissa, you're going to study dwarfs technology at the capital. Asked Izuku. Yep, that way you have multiple sources of information at your disposal, said Melissa. Oh, and get this, the dwarfs are creating something new, said Melissa. What is it? Asked Izuku. Well, from what my dad told me, it is a creature formed out of a lifeless substance such as dust or earth that is brought to life for various purposes. They're calling it golems. Said Melissa, that could be a problem for me. How far are they in creating these golems? Asked Izuku. It will take them some time to make one, so we don't have to worry about them yet, said Melissa. That's good to hear, said Izuku as he got up. All right, I think it's just about time, let's go, said Izuku as the others got up and followed Izuku deeper into the woods, and we're now in the swamp marsh. And that is when they saw two creatures emerging from the swamps. One was a lizard man wearing full armor and wielding a giant battle axe, and the other creature looked like a giant snapping turtle wielding what looked like an executioner's axe. Izuku only smiled as he saw them. This is going to be a warm-up, said Izuku with a smirk on his face. The two creatures then roared at each other and charged at one another, their weapons ready, and fought as the lizard man brought down his war axe ready to split the snapping turtle in two, but the snapping turtle raised his weapon above his head, stopping the attack, and pushing the lizard man back, and swung his axe to the right. The lizard man ducked, dodging the attack. As they fought, the others just watched until Toga spoke. Wait, I know those creatures. That's a lizard man king. And the other one is a snapping king. They are both triple S rank monsters. Said Toga, they are that dangerous. Asked me, yeah. It looks like they're fighting over territory. You see, the snapping king can imbue his weapon with fire magic, and a lizard king and wield earth magic. But the real reason why they are triple S rank is because, wait, Izuku, what are you doing? Asked Toga, as Izuku then started to walk towards them while stretching. I'm just going to see if they are that strong is all, said Izuku, as he was now a few feet from the monsters. Lovely night for a stroll, isn't it? Said Izuku as the lizard man king and snapping king stopped fighting and looked at each other, then looked at Izuku, who was smiling. The snapping and lizard kings then rushed at Izuku and swung the axes down at Izuku, who then manifested Sauron's gauntlets and stopped the attack and held both axes in each hand. Now, that's the spirit. Let's go, said Izuku as he pushed them back, causing them to stumble back a bit. All right, bring it on, said Izuku as he stood there and motioned them to attack with his finger. This pissed them off and tried to attack Izuku again. The lizard man king slammed down his axe and earth spikes were to Izuku, and the snapping king was charging at him, as well as Izuku dodged the earth spikes and ducked as the snapping king's axe almost made contact with his head. Izuku then got up and grabbed the axe of the lizard man king as he used the snapping king's attack to get closer to him. Wait, why are they fighting Izuku together? I thought they hated each other. Asked Ochako. My dad told me about this. Even if two savage beasts are in the middle of battling to the death, they will nonetheless work together to fight off an intruder if one comes along. Karo said so. So since Izuku interrupted their fight, they're going after him. Asked me as Toga nodded. Izuku then grabbed the axe and threw the lizard man king to the snapping king, making them fall to the ground. The two kings then got back up, and Izuku could see the anger in their eyes. Is this all you have caused? I'm getting bored, said Izuku, as he held the lizard man king's axe. That is when the two kings roared so loud that it echoed throughout the swamp. I don't know what throwing a fit would do, but I played around with you too long enough, said Izuku as he walked towards them. Izuku, this is bad. You have to get out of there now, said Toga in a concerned voice as Izuku looked in her direction. Why? Asked Izuku. I was trying to tell you earlier there's another reason why they're triple S rank. It's because they can call their kin to battle, said Toga as Izuku heard something coming out of the water and saw multiple lizard men and snapping knights standing with their leaders. Izuku, run, said Toga along with the others, but they saw a look on Izuku's face and knew it was no use. As he looked at the enemies in front of him, he had a look of pure joy. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Let's go all then, said Izuku, as he threw the axe back to the Lizardman King. Both of the kings then pointed their weapons at Izuku, and their soldiers roared then charged at Izuku as he ran towards them, and a massive battle began. One of the lizard men lunged at Izuku, his sword aimed at his head, but Izuku simply stepped to the left, grabbed the lizardman's sword and the head, and used his as a shield as a spear pierced the lizardman's stomach. Izuku let go of the lizardman and stabbed the snapping knight, who tried to attack him in the neck as green blood gushed out like a geyser, killing it. Izuku then grabbed a sword from the snapping knight's side, deflected an incoming attack from behind, and slashed at the lizardman's face as it screeched in pain. Come on, said Izuku as he was slashing, stabbing, and killing any enemy that got his way. Some of them started using magic to attack from a distance, but it was useless as Izuku made a point at them and black spears shot out as they pierced through their armor, destroying their flesh and organs and killing them. One of the spears destroyed one of the lizardmen's heads. Izuku continued to fight them as he tried to stab one of the snapping knights in the head, only for its head to retract back into its shell. You piece of trash, said Izuku. He put his hand inside the shell, ripped off the snapping knight's head from its body. The swamp was littered with the bodies of the lizard men and kidnapping kites, their bodies all over the place. Izuku was covered head to toe with their vital fluid as it dripped to the ground, and Izuku looked behind him and saw the snapping and lizardman kings were the only ones left. Izuku then dropped the dirty swords, grabbed a scythe one of the lizard men was using, and prepared to fight them. So who's first? Said Izuku as the two kings circled him, one attack from behind and the other from the front. Izuku simply spun around with the scythe, making sure they couldn't get close to him, but the snapping king launched himself at Izuku with his back turned at the surge, hit the shell of the snapping king. It got stuck, stopping Izuku spinning. The lizardman king then ran to Izuku and swung down his axe, and the snapping kings also swung down his axe as well. Izuku let go of the scythe and stopped the blade before they almost touched him. The two kings were pushing down their axes with all their strength, only moving slightly. The snapping and lizardman king then imbued their weapons with magic, hoping this would give them the edge they needed, but it did little since Izuku was wearing the gauntlets. That is when Izuku heard a noise coming from the water, and a lizard man jumped out of the water and started running at Izuku. The lizard man king coiled his tail around Izuku's waist, making sure he could not dodge as the lizard man swung his blade at Izuku's face. They were nothing but silent as the girls watched the fight and could not believe what they were seeing. Izuku stopped the blade of the lizard man with his teeth. The lizard man tried to retrieve his sword, but it couldn't even budge from Izuku's teeth. The lizard man then saw its sword was cracking due to how hard Izuku was biting down on the blade. The sword was destroyed as Izuku got a piece of the blade in his mouth and then spit it out with such force it pierced the lizardman's skull, killing it as it dropped to the ground. Izuku then held onto the axes with all his might and started to lift both of the kings into the air and started to spin around as fast as he could. Both kings gripped their weapons as hard as they could as to not be sent flying off, but it failed as the blood of their kin was covering their bodies, and their hands soon slipped, causing them to be sent flying. Izuku stopped spinning and threw the weapons to the ground. Izuku noticed that the Lizardman King's tail was still wrapped around him and no longer attached to the Lizardman King. He just grabbed the tail and threw it to the ground as well. All right, no more playing around. I am ending this, said Izuku was grabbed the scythe that he dropped and saw the two kings get up and looked at Izuku. Izuku slowly walked towards them, and they were hesitant to move as they had no weapons. Izuku lunged forward at blinding speed with swung the scythe to the right side, piercing the Lizard Man King's neck and decapitating him. The Snapping King tucked in head just in time, or would be dead as well as Izuku swung the scythe at the Snapping King, but he could not get quite a good grip. Due to all the vital fluid he was soaked in and only broken some of the Snapping King's shell and was stuck the Snapping King, then turned around and lunged at Izuku, caught the king before slamming it to the ground and landed on its belly. Izuku then got on top of the Snapping King, making sure it could not move Izuku, then made a fist and raised his arm in the air before slamming it down on the Snapping King's shell, destroying it as his hand pierced its flesh and it screeched in pain as Izuku retracted his hand from the Snapping King's back, as the girl saw Izuku holding the Snapping King's beating heart. Izuku then crushed its heart as the Snapping now lay limp on the ground. Izuku dropped what remained of its heart to the ground and walked over to where the girls were. Well, that was fun as he looked at his handiwork. So what are you going to do with the corpses? Asked Ochako. I don't know. Toga, can we use their parts for something? Asked Izuku. You bet their parts sell for a lot, and we can use the shells of the Snapping Life for armor and shield, and the Lizardmen for various things. Said Toga. Is that? So then you guys should have them because I just want the king's corpses. Said Izuku. Are you sure? Asked Ochako. Yeah, I'm sure you guys need the money, don't you? Asked Izuku as they smiled at him. Hey Izuku, since this is going to be the last time we see each other for a while, we all agreed that we should make a night to remember. Said Ochako as Izuku saw that all had blushes on their faces and knew what they wanted, and he wanted it too as they went back to the cave. Izuku was washing all the stains off his body, and his heart could not stop pounding as he was about to have it with the girl. Izuku took deep breaths as he only had a towel covering the lower half of his body. Izuku then entered where he made his room and saw that the girls had taken off their clothes and underwear and were now naked. Izuku could see everything, and the rational part of his brain turned off, and all he could think about was claiming them for himself as he grabbed the one that was in his sight, which was Ochako, and pressed his lips against hers. Ochako was surprised by his advance at first, but soon wrapped her hand around his neck to deepen the embraces. Izuku started to roam her body up and down from her perky melons to her plump rear and gave it a nice squeeze, making a voice in his mouth. They soon separated to get some air. Hey, don't forget about us, said Toga as she got next to Izuku and embraced him as well. They soon made Izuku lay down on the bed as Toga brought her pee-pee close to his face, and Izuku knew what to do as grabbed her waist down and started to eat her out, causing Toga to go in pleasure as she grabbed his hair and arc her back. Ah yes, said Toga as her voice made Izuku hard, causing the others to take action. May and Melissa then got an idea as they both nodded as they sandwiched his pee-pee in between their rack and took turns gulping his pages. As for Ochako, she had a mischievous smirk on her face as she got off Izuku's torso and started to touch Toga's melons, causing her to gasp in surprise and feel more pleasure as Ochako pinched her nips and pulled on them. I go and release, said Toga, her juices sprayed on Izuku's face, and Izuku also released it all over May and Melissa's faces and body. Toga and Ochako got off Izuku as he sat up. He saw the girls wiping the liquid off May and Melissa's faces and body. This caused him to get hard again as the girl smiled at this. All right, who's first? Asked Izuku as Toga lunged at Izuku with hunger in her eyes and only smirked before he lined into her entrance and quickly pushed into her as Toga closed her eyes. Washes felt pain as Izuku claimed her V-card. Faster, eyes, do me faster, said Toga as Izuku was happy to comply as he grabbed her waist and started to push even faster, causing Toga to arc her back as her rack was moving up and down. Izuku grabbed it and started to gulp and gently bite her nips as Toga said louder due to the pleasure she was feeling as her pee-pee tightened around Izuku's pee-pee and knew she was close to the peak, and he went even faster. Ah yes, Iza, make me yours, said Toga as Izuku did one last push and came inside her. So good, said Toga, as she never felt happier in her life. Izuku took it out from Toga as she said a little before Izuku moved her to where she can rest. Izuku then turned around to see something fascinating, Hugh eating out Ochako and Melissa touching her rack and embracing her as he said. Meanwhile, Izuku saw May was just pleasuring herself as she watched them. Izuku then walked over to Mei. "How about we have our fun?" whispered Izuku in her ear as he touched her right melon and inserted his fingers into her, causing her to hit more pleasure as she turned her head, and they started to embrace each other. Izuku then moved his finger rapidly in and out of her as they separated from the embrace. "Ah, Izuku," I could have said Mei as she was getting close to the peak, but Izuku stopped, causing her to look at Izuku. "Why did you stop? I was so close," asked Mei in frustration as Izuku only smirked. "Well, I can continue and make you," or said Izuku as he started to rub himself in between her lower lip, causing her to hum as she looked at him. "Do you want me to do you?" said Izuku. "Yes, do me," whispered Mei. "What was that? I can't hear you," teased Izuku as started to embrace her neck. "I said do me and make me forget how to speak," shouted Mei, surprising the others as they never thought that she would say those words ever, as Izuku only embraced her on the lips and carried her to the bed. "Your wish is my command," said Izuku as he embraced her again and pushed inside her, easing the pain before pushing in and out of her as fast as they stopped embracing, and Mei was on cloud nine and was a mess. Izuku then started to gulp on her nips as hard as he could, causing her more pleasure, then dipped her around with her back towards him as he continued to do her brains out. Izuku couldn't help but look at her rear as it jiggled every time he goes back inside her, and slapped it, causing Mei to feel both pain and pleasure. "How do you belong to?" asked Izuku as he slapped her cheeks again, making her scream loudly. "I said, how do you belong to?" Izuku asked Mei again, but all Izuku could hear was her voices were like crazy. "You better answer, or I will stop," said Izuku as he was slowing down. "I belong to you," said Mei as Izuku smirked. "You right now, here is your reward," said Izuku as he then lifted her by her legs, going to port inside her as her eyes turned to hearts, and did one last push, releasing his seed deep inside her. Izuku then placed Mei with a toga as she passed out due to all the pleasure. Izuku looked back and saw Ochako on the floor, her juices dripping onto the ground, breathing heavily, and saw Melissa and you were eager to get a turn. "Oh, but don't worry, we didn't. She's still good to go. But now it's our turn now," said Melissa as they both went to Izuku with lust in their eyes. They both pushed Izuku down on the bed as Siyu could stop her mating instincts anymore and started to gulp on Izuku's pee-pee. He grunted in pleasure as he felt her long tongue wrap around it, causing more Izuku pleasure. He noticed that Siyu had no reflex and was enjoying how amazing her mouth felt. Melissa then placed herself above Izuku's mouth. "Don't forget about me," said Melissa, started to eat her out, making her hit pleasure. Siyu then put Izuku's pee-pee in between her melons and continued to gulp his pee-pee, wanting to taste his seed. As Izuku continued to eat Melissa out, she started to fondle her melons for more pleasure. This went on for a while until they peaked as Izuku released inside Siyu's mouth, and she was swallowing all of it. Melissa then got off Izuku as he sat up, but was instantly tackled back on the bed, and he saw Siyu's parts was soaking wet. "Izuku, mate with me now," said Sayui as Izuku flipped her around, and now he was on top. "As you wish," said Izuku as he pushed it into Siyu's entrace, and she squeaked in pleasure. "Wow, see, you really want me to claim you," said Izuku as felt her wall tighten around him. Izuku started to do Siyu faster, causing her to go like crazy as she pulled Izuku's head towards her melons, and Izuku knew what she wanted as he started to gulp on her nips as hard as he could, making her eyes go in the back of her head. "Yes, do me faster, make me have children," said Siyu as Izuku continued. "I'll make sure you get a lot of it, you naughty little frog," said Izuku as he continued to do her even faster and harder than before. All that could be heard was Siyu voices go like crazy as her mind went blank, and that is when Melissa decided to join the fun. Izuku saw Melissa wanting to join in as he moved his head. After a few more minutes, Izuku and Siyu were close to hit their peak as she wrapped her legs around Izuku's waist, and Izuku released inside her as Siyu had her tongue out. Once Izuku stopped pumping into Siyu, he pulled out. Izuku saw Siyu breathing heavily. "More, I want more," said Siyu in between breaths, but she soon passed out. Izuku then moved her with the others as he looked at Melissa, who was ready to get started, and smirked. "Lay half of your body down on the bed with your back facing me," said Izuku as she did what he said. Izuku then went behind her and grabbed her rear. "Time to make you mine as well," said Izuku as he lifted her head and embraced her before he pushed his pee-pee inside of her and started to fondle her melons, making her forget the pain. Izuku then started to move his hips back and forth, making Melissa make voiced inside his mouth as she felt it. Izuku stopped embracing and playing with her melons as he grabbed her wrist and started to do her faster than before, and she loved it. Izuku loved the way her curves jiggled every time he pulled her back. Izuku was close to hit his peak, and so was Melissa, as Izuku did one last push, releasing it inside her, and never felt such pleasure, and was now laying on the bed satisfied. Izuku slowly opened his eyes and sat up while stretching and yawning at the same time. Izuku saw that the girls were still asleep, and he used shadows to move out of the bed to not wake them up. He started to make them something to eat, as he used what was left of the deer they ate yesterday. Soon the girls woke up by the smell of something delicious. "Good morning, sleepyheads," said Izuku as he finished cooking. "Morning," said the girls as they got up, but their legs were wobbly before their activity last night. "Oh, here," said Izuku as he used his magic to strengthen them and could now walk straight. They then started to eat breakfast. "So this is the last time we will see each other for a while at least," said Toga. "Yeah, but don't worry, it won't last long," said Izuku as they finished their breakfast and got dressed. "So what are you going to do with the corpses of the two kings?" asked May. "I want to try out the necromancy ability," said Izuku as they went outside of the cave. Izuku then went and grabbed the corpses of the lizard man and snapped, "King, let's see what I can do." "With these," said Izuku as he put his hands out and started to chant a spell in the old tongue. They saw something coming out of corpses, and that is when they saw the spirits of the lizard man snapping turtle bow to Izuku. "Seems like it worked, Karo," said. "Oh, I'm just getting started," said Izuku as he moved his hand closer together. "And so did the two spirits. I will make my own Nazgul and make it stronger than any other," said Izuku as he merged the two spirits and used his magic to create armor from this moment on. "You will be Yuten," said Izuku as Yuten bowed before Izuku. "I will serve you, my master," said Yuten as it bowed before Izuku. "Good, I look forward to seeing what you can do. I will also get you better weapons later, so just use them for now," said Izuku as he put the axes of the lizard man and snapped King in front of Yuten as it grabbed them and put them on its back. "Since when can you do that?" asked Ochako. "Just now. It was a theory I thought of, and I'm glad to see it work," said Izuku as the others were impressed. Time skip. Izuku got everything he needed for his trip to the mountains as the girls helped him pack, and each one of them gave him a kiss. That is when Melissa handed him the map. "I mark a few locations that would be of interest to you," said Melissa as Izuku took the map. "Oh, so how are you going to contact us anyways?" asked May as Izuku smiled. Like this, thought Izuku, as they could hear his voice in their head. "Wow, how is that possible?" asked Toga. "Well, you all have some of my magic inside of you, and that allows me to communicate like this," said Izuku as he blushed a bit, and so did the girls. "So can we contact you as well?" asked May. "I think so. Give it a try," said Izuku as they did, and it worked as he could hear their voices. "Sweet, it works," said May. "Well, I best be going, time is ticking," said Izuku as he turned around and started to walk towards the mountain along with Yuten as the girl were cheering him on. As soon as Izuku was out of their sight, they felt a bit sad. "Well, we better get going ourselves. We do have a job to do," said Melissa, as they agreed, and then back to the village and reported the dead lizard man and snapping King's men so that they could get a bunch of money, and prepared everything so that they would get it and no one else. As they were leaving, a teen with black hair and brown eyes wearing fishing attire saw and heard everything that had happened. "I need to tell the guards about this," said the teen as he made sure the coast was clear and turned around only to see the girls behind him. "Told you, I heard someone," Karo said. "I won't tell a soul about what I saw," said the teen as he was overwhelmed with fear as Toga startled to walk towards him. "Oh, we know you won't," said Toga as she quickly got out her dagger and sliced his neck open. "This because no one can hear the voices of the dead," said Toga as the boy grabbed his neck, only his vital fluid to soak his clothes. Soon the teen fell to the floor dead. "For the sake of Izuku's revenge, we won't let anybody get in his way, and if they do, they will be eliminated," said Ochako as they disposed of the body. Back with Izuku. Izuku continued his way towards the mountains as he used the shadows from the trees to move faster along with Yuten. "Soon revenge will be mine," thought Izuku, as he continued to use the shadows until he stopped at a specific location. "Master, may I ask why we have stopped?" "We are close to the end of the forest," said Yuten. "It's simple, Yuten. Since we're going to a place where there are no shadows, and I need supplies, it's good to have some pack mules to carry my things, and thanks to Melissa, I know where to get. Some said Izuku as they continued to walk through the forest until they found what Izuku was looking for. Master, aren't those? Asked Yuten. Yep, these will be our pack mules, said Izuku as he stood in the middle of 3 trolls that were turned to stone. Now, then time to put them to work, said Izuku as he used his magic. Master, they are nothing but stone. No magic can undo this, said Yuten. Do you doubt me, Yuten? Said Izuku as Yuten looked into Izuku's eyes and quickly groveled before him. No, master, I would never doubt your abilities, said Yuten. Good, now watch, said Izuku as read about a spell that lets one control time on an inanimate object, rewinding it or furthering its time. It doesn't work on living creatures, but it didn't matter since the stone trolls were stone. All he had to do was rewind until they were no longer stone. What happened? The last thing I remember was turning to stone by that old human, said one of the trolls. Good to know you can speak. That makes things easier, said Izuku as the troll looked at him. Who the hell are you? Asked one of the trolls. I am the one who set you free from your stone prison, and I believe you should kneel and thank me, said Izuku as the troll stood up. Why would we do that? Asked one of the trolls. Hey, he got some meat on him. Let's cook him, said one of the other trolls, and he reached for Izuku, only for Yuten to get behind them and slice behind their legs, making them fall to the ground. Yuten then placed the axes underneath the necks of 2 of the trolls as Izuku placed his foot on top of the troll, who tried to grab him. You asked me who I was, correct, said Izuku as the troll tried to lift his head but couldn't. Izuku then let out a bit of his magic power, and it was at that moment the troll felt fear and despair. To answer your question from earlier, troll, I am the one who decides whether you live or die, said Izuku, and he pushed the troll's head further into the ground. What do you need from us, oh powerful one? Asked the troll. Simple, I need pack mules, and you 3 fit the bill, so what do you say? Asked Izuku. We would be honored, sir, said one of the trolls as Izuku took his foot off the troll's head. Good to hear, said Izuku at Yuten put his axes on his back as Izuku used his magic to heal the troll's injuries. Oh, and you don't have to worry about the sunlight anymore thanks to my magic. So let's get a move on, said Izuku as he tossed them his thing and continued to walk toward the edge of the forest. The trolls were skeptical at first, but Yuten pushed one out into the sunlight as the troll was flailing around like crazy before opening his eyes to see he was not stone. Get up, no, have no time to play around, said Izuku as he walked past the troll, and Yuten followed along with the other trolls. Sir, if I may ask, where are we headed? Asked one of the trolls. We are headed to the mountains, and that is all I will tell you, said Izuku as they continued to walk in the direction of the mountains. Izuku took the route Melissa placed in the map as not to be seen by others as they continued their way to the mountain as the sun was beginning to set as they were walking through an open field, and Izuku then used his magic to manipulate the earth around him. He now had a stone hut. All right, this where we will camp for the night. Troll, bring me my bag, said Izuku. The troll did what he was told and handed Izuku his bag, then got out a water canteen and some deer stew he had made in the morning and started to eat. Sir, what about us? Asked one of the trolls. Oh, right. You have my permission to go get your food, said Izuku as he continued to eat his meal. One of the trolls was about to say something, but the other troll stopped him. Thank you, mighty one, said one of the trolls as they left to go eat something. Oh, and one more thing, call me master from now on, said Izuku. Of course, master, said the trolls as they left. Maybe we should have gotten some horses instead of these nuisances, master, said Yuten. It's all right, Yuten, even trash has its uses, said Izuku as he finished his meal and took out his map to see where to go next. Looks like there's a large town half a day from where we are located. I will resupply there, said Izuku as he put the map away. It was now nighttime, and it was peaceful until Izuku heard voices. Let me go. I said, let me go this instant. Mama, Papa, help me, I don't want to die. Oh, shut up already, said one of the trolls as Izuku saw the trolls come back with some humans. I was enjoying my peace. Why did you interrupt it? Asked Izuku as the trolls bowed. We are sorry, master, said one of the trolls as the humans looked at Izuku. Hey, you can control them, right? Tell them to let us go. We'll pay you whatever you want, said one of the humans as looked at the one who spoke to him. You all must be from wealthy families, I can tell by the clothes you're wearing, said Izuku. Yes, that is right, I'll pay whatever you want if you let me go, said the man. I will pay more than him, said another man, as Izuku remembered all the time the rich belittled him when he went to a gathering one time when he was little. Izuku only felt hatred for them since. I see, and what about the rest of the people with you? Asked Izuku. You can have them, they're nothing to me. I can always get new ones, even my wife and child, said the man, as the other people were shocked to hear his response. Trolls, I changed my mind. I want to hear this man squeal like the pig he is. As for the others, give them a quick death, said Izuku, as the people were screaming at Izuku, telling him to not do this. They wanted to live. As you wish, master, said one of the trolls as Izuku made a cage to keep them in so that they wouldn't escape. Izuku then looked at one of the trolls. Did they have a carriage with them? Asked Izuku. Yes, master, and a wagon with supplies, said one of the trolls. Bring it to me. I want to see what they got, said Izuku, as the troll did as he was told. Once the troll returned Izuku the fancy carriage they were riding in and looked at the supplies and saw they were transporting some valuables, and Izuku saw some butchering tools and smiled. Use the carriages to light the fires along with the rest of this. As for the metal, I know what to do with them, said Izuku as he used his magic to manipulate the earth to create spikes near the carriages, and Izuku lit on fire. Use these to make kebabs, said Izuku as the troll nodded. As Izuku saw the troll start with the children. No, please don't do this, I beg of you, he is innocent, pleaded the woman, which Izuku figured was his mother. Why would I do that? I'm sure he would have turned out like the rest of you filthy rich parasites, said Izuku as he watched what was about to happen. Mama, yelled the child as the troll stabbed the spike through the child's body, making the mother cry out as they saw the child's vital fluid run down the spike. Don't worry, you will see him soon enough, said Izuku as he walked away and heard the woman scream. One of the trolls picked her up and did the same thing he did with her child, as Izuku could hear her screaming in pain and turned to see the men who tried to barter with him earlier time to hear the pig squeal, said Izuku as he made large slabs and made them lay down on it. You know, I never understood why people like you are at the top, said Izuku as he circled them. The wealthy are corrupted, thinking they can get away with anything as long as they have the money to do so. You had everything handed to you on a silver and golden platter. You parasites don't know what it's like to suffer, to struggle at living another day, yelled Izuku. Yuten then brought out the butcher tools for Izuku and picked up a bone saw. I'm going to enjoy hearing you scream, said Izuku, as Yuten got some precious metals and placed it molding cup that was among the items and placed in the fire. You know, over the years I have butchered a lot of animals, so I have experience in these sort of things, and I'll make sure you don't die yet, said Izuku as he went up to the closest to him and started to saw off his right leg as the saw ripped the man's flesh apart, making the man scream in pain as he couldn't move a muscle, as Izuku stopped when he reached the bone and continued to saw around it. Yelled the man as Izuku was using his magic to make sure he wasn't dead yet. Once he was done, he ordered Yuten to bring the mold as the metals melted into a liquid and poured it on the man's wounds. That never felt such pain in his life, as his flesh was seared by the hot liquid metal and would have due to blood loss if not for Izuku, who he got a sharp knife and cut the man's leg left, which was still connected to him by the bone, as Izuku cut a piece out of the leg and put it to the side as he simply pulled the flesh back, ripping off the bone. Here, said Izuku as he tossed the flesh to the trolls, who simply placed it in the fire to cook. I think that went well. Now on to the next limbs, said Izuku as he did the same thing to the man's right leg and arms, leaving only the bones and removing the flesh, as the man was screaming the entire time, begging Izuku to just kill him. All right, that's one down and one more to go, said Izuku as looked at the other man and saw him try to suffocate himself, only for Izuku to stop him. Who gave you permission to die? Because I know I didn't, and for that, I have something special for you, said Izuku as he got out a shucking knife and positioned it over his eyes. Izuku then started taking out the man's eyeballs as he screamed in pain, but could do nothing as Izuku finished take out the eyes and moved on to the ears, then the nose, the lips, teeth, and tongue, leaving the man disfigured and unrecognizable, as he didn't stop there and slicing off the man's fingers as well. Oh, don't worry, I'm going to make you one with your things like the other guy, said Izuku as he made metal eyeballs and placed them in the man's empty eye socket while it was still red hot, making the man scream in tremendous pain. Izuku did the same thing with the fingers and toes as well. Once Izuku was done, he looked at his work and smiled. Well, I had fun, you guys can take care of the rest. I'm going to sleep, said Izuku as he used his magic to remove the vital fluid on him and head to the rock hut, and used illusion magic so that nobody would see them as the trolls were eating the humans that were cooked. "I wonder what tomorrow is going to be like," said Izuku as he soon fell asleep and made sure he couldn't smell the burnt flesh as well. It was now morning as Izuku got up and undid his magic, making the rocks disappear. Izuku stretched his arm in the air and yawned and saw Yuten standing guard where he slept. Izuku then saw the trolls were asleep near where they cooked the people. Izuku then walked to his bag, got out some dried deer, and ate it. He then got out some coffee, put in a kettle, and waited for when the kettle started to make a sound. Izuku took it off the corral and got out a cup and drank the coffee. Nothing like a cup of coffee in the morning. "All right, get up, we're leaving," said Izuku as he drank the rest of the coffee and put the stuff away. Izuku then saw the trolls still sleeping. "I said get up now," said Izuku as he let out a bit of his aura, and the troll instantly got up. "Good now. Let's get going. I want to be at the village before noon," said Izuku as they continued there towards the town. Izuku managed to hunt down a deer and a boar for his meals and made the trolls carry it and warned them that if they ate his prey, he would gut them like a fish. Time skip. It was now noon. They were on top of a cliff and saw the town below them. "Master, are we going to destroy the town or take it over?" asked one of the trolls. "I'll see if they're worthy of being taken over. You guys wait here," said Izuku as he jumped down the cliff and landed on the ground with no damage. Izuku made his way to the town. He used a spell to make his eye color green and saw a lot of people in the town. Izuku then made his way, gathered what he needed, and used magic to control their minds so that he got everything for free. Once Izuku got everything wanted, he decided to look around and see what the town had to offer him. "So far, this place is okay. I could make it into a trap for other people when they enter," said Izuku, as he then heard something that made his blood boil. Izuku quickly went to the location and saw 3 boys bullying a little girl, and that is when Izuku saw that she was wearing torn clothes and had a cane. "Take this," said one of the boys as he kicked the cane away from her, and then one of the other kids pulled her hair. "Go ahead and cry that all you could do, stupid," said the kid who acted as the leader. Izuku used illusion and dark magic to make sure no one would interrupt or stop what he was about to do. Izuku then used dark magic to shield the girl away from the 3 boys who were surprised and heard footsteps and saw Izuku walking towards them with his eyes going back to normal. Izuku saw the fear in their eyes. "What's wrong? You can gang up on the girl and beat her, but you quake in terror when you see me. You 3 are trash, and I will make sure you suffer," said Izuku as he rushed forward at them. The 3 boys ran, trying to get away from Izuku, but it was no use as he grabbed one of the boys by the neck and then pushed his arm into the boy's chest. He screamed in pain, then went limp as the ground was decorated with vital fluid. The 2 boys looked and saw Izuku was holding their friend beating heart. The boys could only do one thing that might save them. As they couldn't escape from Izuku, they bowed their heads and begged, "Please, PP, please, we are so sorry. We will never mess with her again. Our families are waiting for us," begged the 2 boys as they were shaking. Izuku walked over toward the boys. "Don't worry, your families will join you soon," said Izuku as he stomped on the head of one of the boys and crushed it. Izuku left the leader for last as the boy was now on his back and trying to crawl away from Izuku. "You monsters act all high and mighty, bullying the weak and defenseless, but when someone stronger and more powerful than you shows up, you beg to be spared the suffering. You caused others people like you should just die," said Izuku as manipulated the earth, and Spike quickly rose from the ground and pierced the boy's arms and legs, making him scream in pain and agony. "I'm doing the world a favor by getting rid of your filth. I'm done playing you. Now die," said Izuku as another Spike slowly rose from the ground, making the boy suffer a slow and painful death. "Use the remaining time I have given you to curse your existence and family and friends for the life you had lived," said Izuku. "No, please, no, I'm sorry. I don't want to die. Please forgive me," said the boy who was now crying and screaming for someone to help him. The boy's life flashed before him as the spike made contact with his back and started to get deeper into his body. "I'm sorry," said the boy as the spike slowly pierced his chest. Izuku then used fire magic to burn the corpse into ashes and checked on the girl. "Hey, are you okay?" said Izuku as he saw the girl open her eyes, and Izuku wished he had made those monsters suffer more. "Please don't hurt me," said the girl as she was covering her head in fear. Hey, okay. I'm not going to hurt you, and I made those kids sure that those kids wouldn't hurt you again. Said Izuku, really you're not here to hurt me? Asked the girl, yes. What your name, little one? Asked Izuku, my name is Poka. Said Poka, that is a lovely name. Where are your parents, Slash, so I can tear out their souls? Said Izuku as he though the last part. I don't want to go back, they will hurt me again. Said Poka as she was shivering. Izuku didn't understand. Why was he so concerned for this child? Why seeing her suffer angered him so? And that is when he realized that she was like him alone in this cruel world with no one. Poka, let me ask you a question. If I can make all of these people disappear, would that make you happy? Asked Izuku as Poka. I thought about it, and only remembered the insults and pain they caused her as she grabbed Izuku's shirt and squeezed it. Please make them go away, said Poka as Izuku hugged, and it was at that moment a sensation coursed through her body as she had never experienced. She felt warm and safe, and that is when she buried her face and chest and started to cry her heart out. Izuku continued to hug her as he messaged Yuten thought, Izuku, I am here, master. What are your orders? Asked Yuten. Bring the trolls and slaughter everyone in this town. Do not let a single person escape alive, said Izuku, as he grabbed Poka and used shadow magic to teleport them a cliff that overlooked the town. Poka, today I will grant your wish, and you will see it with your own eyes, said Izuku as he placed his hand on her eyes and used his power to heal them. Okay, Poka, open your eyes slowly, said Izuku as Pika nodded, and for the first time in her life, she could see everything. Poka cried tears of happiness. Izuku then placed his hand, and the ground started to shake. Soon, huge spike made out of rock started to rise from the ground, circling the entire town. All right, Poka, it's time to enjoy the show, said Izuku as they saw Yuten and the trolls running into town. Izuku lowered one of the spikes so that they could enter. Let the slaughter begin, said Izuku as he sat down with a smile on his face. Bells were ringing, and people were in a panic as the alarms went off. Monsters have invaded the town, all adventurers and heroes to battle. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill, said a voice through speakers. Daddy, I'm scared, said a little girl with her brother as their father was getting his weapons and armor and grabbed his children. It's okay, Daddy gonna take care of it. Just follow Mommy to the shelter and wait till this is over, okay, said their father as they nodded, and he left the house to join the fight. Kill everyone, that is our master's orders. Destroy every building you see, make sure they have no place to hide, said Yuten as the trolls went their separate ways and caused havoc. One of the monsters is over here, said an adventurer as more of his companions appeared. As Yuten reached back and got out his war axe's charge, yelled the adventurer as some heroes also joined in as well. Weaklings, said Yuten as he invited his axe and swung them like crazy, slicing off arms, heads, even torsos. One hero got close to him, but it was nothing to fear as Yuten easily dodged the attack and chopped off the hero's head, and the streets were turning red with their vital fluid. That is when Yuten opened his mouth and started to devour all of the souls of the adventurers and heroes, making him more powerful. Yuten then saw more of them coming like moths to the flame, said Yuten as he charged at them. No matter who came at Yuten, he sliced them to shred in an instant as his axe sliced a person. That is when Yuten thought of something as he concentrated his power, and corrupted souls started coming out of him and then entered the bodies of the others, making the others go crazy and start killing each other. Meanwhile, the trolls were destroying the houses which still had some people hiding in them, only to be crushed by debris. The adventurer and heroes did everything they could to stop the trolls as people with bows and ranged projectiles fired at the trolls, but it had little to no effect. That's getting annoying, said one of the trolls as it grabbed some of the debris and threw it at them, as the debris crashed on the ground, as parts of it scattered in different directions, piercing their bodies, killing or severely injuring them. The trolls took the chance and grabbed the ones that were still alive and started to eat them. Let me go. Let go, yelled a female hero as she tried to escape, but it was useless as the troll bit her head off. Soon all that was left of the town was destroyed building and corpses everywhere along with fires. They were about to leave when Yuten heard some noise and saw it was the only adventurer left. Yuten then rushed after him only for the adventurer to throw something at Yuten as he spaced it into two pieces, but that caused the object to explode with a bright light. Yuten screeched as he was staggered. The adventurer did not let this chance go to waste and ran towards Yuten, piercing him through the head. "This is for everyone you killed, now die," said the adventurer as he saw the face of an adventurer he knew, and it soon disappeared as a sword dropped to the ground. Yuten then grabbed the adventurer by the neck. "Your effort was in vain. Someone like you can never kill me," said Yuten as he used his powers to invade his mind to make sure they got everyone. "It would seem we missed a few. They are in a shelter under the guild," said Yuten as the adventurer tried to reel free, but it was useless. Yuten snapped his neck like a twig, and they headed for the shelter. "Mommy, are the monsters gone?" asked her children as the mother looked at them. "Don't worry, I'm sure your daddy and the others are handling it." That is when the ground started to shake. That is when the doors to the shelter burst open, and they were all scared as Yuten entered. "Looks like this is the place. You can thank him for leading me to you," said Yuten as he threw the body of the adventurer at them. "And no," yelled a woman as she went to the body with tears in her eyes. That is when Yuten tried to take a step closer to them, only to be stopped by a barrier. "I see this barrier is designed to keep monsters out. Very clever. Unfortunately, only works on monsters," said Yuten as he got his axes out and started to destroy the guild as debris was falling on them, crushed some of the people. Yuten then swung his axes down one last time, "'cause the building to fall on top of the master. We exterminated the insect," said Yuten. Izuku and Poka were still on the ledge looking at the handwork of Yuten and the trolls. "Good. Now, come, we wasted enough of time," said Izuku as he went to Poka. "Poka, how do you feel?" asked Izuku as Poka hugged him with tears in her eyes. "Thank you. Thank you," said Poka as she cried of happiness, knowing that those monsters would never harm her again. Izuku smiled as he picked her up and rubbed her back. "No one will ever hurt again," said Izuku as they made their way to the mountain. Soldiers and mages were riding horses through the plains at high speed and headed for a village. "Captain, are we headed in the right direction?" asked one of the soldiers. "Yes, the distress signal came from a village just below the cliff. I just hope we're not too late," said the captain. Soon they arrived at the edge of the cliff and saw only destruction. "Come on, let's see if there are any survivors," said the captain as they headed down towards the village. As the soldiers were passing through, they saw the bodies of the people lying on the ground as flies were on their bodies. "What happened here?" asked one of the soldiers. "I want one group to search the rubble and another one to gather the bodies," said the captain as they nodded. It was now night as the bodies of the people were now covered. "What happened here? Who would cause all this death?" said the captain as clenching his fist in anger. "Captain, I found a survivor," said one of the knights as they rushed over and saw it was a teenage boy trapped in rubble. The knights helped him out of it, and the mages used healing magic on him. "How are his injuries?" asked the captain. "He has a broken left arm and leg, a few of his ribs cracked, and also damage to some of his organs. It's a miracle he's even alive right now," said one of the mages. "Sir, I detect 2 survivors," said a mage as the soldiers went to and started to remove the rubble as fast as they could. The mages used their magic to remove the bigger pieces. As they removed the last of the debris, they were horrified by the sight of the people who took shelter. That is when they saw movement and instantly went and saw it was a boy and a girl who survived as his mother sacrificed herself by shielding them from her body. They quickly got them out, and the mages instantly started to treat them. "What do we do now?" Captain asked one of the soldiers. "Let's put the dead to rest. We take these 3 back with us. Hopefully they could tell us what happened here," said the captain. "Of course, sir," said the soldier as he went to inform the others. They gathered every dead person they could find and placed them all in one big pile as the mages then burned the corpses. "Sir, should we camp here for tonight or return to the outpost?" asked the soldier. "We will camp here as the injured are not ready to be moved. It would have been no problem if the teleportation device had not been destroyed. I want a few of you gather some firewood, and as the rest for you see if there are any supplies that we can use," said the captain, as the soldier agreed. That is when one of the mages came up to the captain. "Sir, good news of the survivors have regained consciousness," said the mage. "That is good news indeed. Take me to the survivor," said the captain, as they went into a tent and saw the teenage boy. As he looked at the captain, "Who are you?" asked the teenager. "My name is Sam. I am the captain for the troops sent here." "Can you tell us what happened?" asked Sam. "Yes, the day started as normal like any other. and that is when spikes started to erupt out of the earth and surround the village. Said the teenager, "Are you sure? Because when we got here, there were no signs of spikes surrounding the village." Said Sam, "Actually, there may be some truth to what he is saying, sir. The mages sense faint traces of magic around the village, but they thought it was caused by the monster that attacked," said the soldier. Sam just then looked at the teenager. "Please continue," said Sam, as the teenager nodded. "As I was saying, the village was surrounded, and that is when appeared monster. There were 4 in total. It was 3 rock trolls, and the 4th one was covered in black and wielding 2 war axes. Many heroes and adventurers fought them, but they were slaughtered. I tried to hide, but it was useless, as the trolls destroyed every building they saw," said the teenager. "I see. Thank you for sharing this with us. Now, please get some rest," said Sam as they left the tent. "Sir, what are your thoughts on this?" asked the soldier. "To be honest, I don't know what to make of this. I mean, rock trolls in daylight, and that 4th creature in black. Give me a communication device. I'm going to contact headquarters and see what they make of the situation," said Sam as the soldier nodded and went to go get the device. Unaware to Sam, this village would not be the last one to end up in destruction and death. Izuku and the others continued their way towards the mountain. "Master, we are nearly there," said Uten as they stopped at a hill and saw the mountain in the distance. "Good, let's go see if these orcs were worth the trip," said Izuku as Poka was on his shoulders while wrapping her hands on his head. They then made their way to the mountain as fast as they could, as there were no people around to see them. They soon reached the mountain. "Now, then let's see where they are," said Izuku as he placed his left hand on the mountain and began to search for the orcs' location. "Found they're on top of the mountain, and it would seem they have some nice are here as well," said Izuku as he smiled, then used his magic to manipulate the mountain as stones were being transformed and a smooth path was made. "All right, let's go," said Izuku as they went up the mountain and used magic on Poka. The air was thinner the higher they went, and the temperature dropped. Soon they saw where the orca lived, as it was the ruins of a castle that once stood. "Well, at least they have some taste," said Izuku as he thought it would suit his needs for the time being. That is when 4 orcs emerged in front of them. "Well, it looks like we found some grub here tonight, boys," said one of the orcs. Izuku then picked up Poka, handed her to Uten, and walked toward the orca as he cracked his knuckles. "All right, let's see if you are worthy of me ruling over you," said Izuku. "Shut your mouth, you accursed human," said one of the orcs, charging at him. Meanwhile, inside the castle, "Haha, eat, drink, brother, for we are the strongest on this mountain," said an orc that was larger than the rest as he was sitting on a throne outside with a bunch of orcs feasting. "Woman, bring me some more ale," said the orc as a female orc brought him a barrel of ale and put it down next to him as she was about to leave for the orc to grab her hand. "I didn't say you could leave. You're going to keep me company," said the orc as the female looked at the orc in disgust, but knew she couldn't do anything. Just then an orc's body fell from the sky and crashed into the table, destroying it. That is when they felt a strong Arua approach them. "Who are you to dare interrupt me feasting?" said the orc as Izuku and the others soon appeared in front of them. "Pathetic, all I did was hit him, and now he's dead," said Izuku, ignoring the orc. "You lowly insect, how are you?" "Ignore me," yelled the orc as Izuku looked at him without a care in the world. "So are the leader of the place, or what?" asked Izuku. "You maggot, I am Raul, the conqueror, ruler of all the orc clans," said Raul. "Ruler of all the orc clan, who good, because I'm here to take your throne," said Izuku, as everyone was silent, but then they all started laughing at him. "Bahahaha. So you came here and interrupted my feast just so you can take over? That is the funniest thing I have ever heard. I'll tell you what, since you put me in a good mood, I will let you leave with your lives," said Raul as he continued to laugh along with the others. The female orc wasn't laughing as she knew he was serious, and she could tell he was strong. Izuku was getting tired of his laughter. He sighed as Izuku grabbed a mug full of ale, approached Raul, and without hesitation poured the ale on top of his head as he stopped laughing, as so did the others as Raul was drenched in ale, and Izuku dropped the mug as it hit the ground. He then grabbed the female orc that was beside Raul into his arms and went back to where he was previously. Izuku then kissed her as he inserted his tongue in her mouth, exploring every inch of her mouth. The female orc was surprised at first, but then felt pleasure as she wrapped her arms around Izuku, deepening the kiss. They then separated as she was breathing heavily as Izuku looked at Raul with a smirk on his face. "So ready to fight now?" asked Izuku as Raul, his veins appeared on his head, and his eyes full of rage. "You monster," yelled Raul as he grabbed his battle axe and charged at Izuku, who moved the female orc out of the way. "I can't wait to taste more of you. When I'm done," Izuku whispered in her ear and touched her rear, making the female orc blush. Raul then swung his axe at Izuku, who easily dodged it by jumping back, and Raul was chasing after him. Izuku dodged all of the attacks with ease. Why do you not fight back? You wanted this fight," yelled Raul. "I will fight back when you agree to the condition," said Izuku. "Fine, I accept then. Now, come meet your inhuman," said Raul as the other orcs witnessed the fight. That is when Izuku saw the orc he kissed along with 3 other females. Once Izuku saw the females, the chief had he wanted to win even more. Raul then charged at Izuku again as he raised his axe in the air with both hands, then slammed it down on Izuku, who covered his arms in gauntlets and easily parried the attack as it hit the ground beside him. Izuku then punched Raul in the stomach, causing all the caught-out fluids as he was holding his stomach. "What's wrong? Don't tell me the great Raul is injured by a little love tap," said Izuku in a mocking tone. "Screw you," said Raul as he grabbed his axe again and started to swing like a madman, trying to land a hit on Izuku, who had his hand in his pockets. "I thought I held back a bit when I threw that punch, but I guess I don't know how I'm going to use this guy to see how much I can hold back," thought Izuku as Raul was getting angry. "Stop dodging and fight me," yelled Raul as Izuku dodged to the left, roundhouse kicked Raul in the face, knocking out few of his teeth, and then punched his knee, breaking his knee guards and causing the shard to pierce his knee as Raul to roar in pain as he knelt down to the floor. Izuku then grabbed Raul's head and headbutted him, breaking Raul's nose. "You monster," yelled Raul as slammed his fist into the ground. Izuku simply stepped back. "I never thought I had to use this on mere human, but I had enough of you," yelled Raul as his body was getting bigger and his skin was turning reddish. "Oh, Berserker mode, interesting." But Izuku tried to speak, but Raul grabbed his axe and slammed it down on Izuku as a huge gust of wind erupted due to the pressure. But to everyone's surprise, Izuku stopped the axe with 2 fingers. "You know it is rude to interrupt someone while they are speaking, but I guess your tiny mind can't comprehend it," said Izuku as twisted his fingers, snapping the blade. "Now die," said Izuku. He trusted his right hand in a fall's neck, piercing it as his body dropped to the floor, and looked over to the other orcs. "You will all submit to me. Now kneel," said Izuku as the orcs looked at him, then kneeled in front of Izuku as he walked past them and sat on Raul's throne. "Yuten, bring Poka and the trolls here," thought Izuku. "Understood, master," said Yuten as they enter the castle. So, this was the end of part 1 of this series. Stay tuned for next part of this series, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.